RNG, hopefully they can actually get a little bit more proactive use out of that in trying to shut down the Nami Lucian and then actually finding more positive mid-game team fights to actually try and stamp out WE's sort of mid-game authority that they kind of had in the mid-game, I guess.
I'm very curious, though, for the fact that Breathe is willing to whip out the Ksante here. Obviously, has been super big in the meta. He has not won on the Ksante yet this LPL spring. So interested to see that they kind of adapt in that fashion for RNG. Still very, very much into that kind of team fight focus. Make sure that Gala and Ming get a bunch of resources. Angel is also a little bit more set up and stable, it feels like, even though the Orianna was looking good. But that is where that all eyes are on WE now. Bar of execution, while it was a little harder last game, feel like it is a little bit difficult in this one as well, but momentum is key.
Yeah, momentum, very, very key. And it's one of those things, it's not always super measurable, right? From a spectator's perspective. But I'm gonna just be real. Losing a game like that is gonna feel one of two ways for RNG. Tiltingly frustrating, or so stupid that you kind of just have to laugh at it and let it happen. So we'll see what kind of RNG hit the rift for game number 2 here. But Team WE are going to be pretty happy, I would say. No real upsetting things there as Shanks banner.
Gyos.
Yeah, there we go. Definitely the W victory seems to have very much spurred the WE fans up in the stadium, of course.
Love to hear some of those cheers. But we are onto the rift now. Obviously, a big focus for this one has been bot lane. We've had the extravaganza. We had Gala with all the resources last game, unable to close it out. Hope and Lwandy weren't the big influencers, it felt like. It came to Biubiu and Shanks in the solo lanes. And a much different, it feels like, in-game finish from WE, even though chaotic. And so now RNG just kind of setting sights on this early game. We will have top side starts for both junglers. And just like last game, I'm sure a lot of butting heads towards bot.
Yeah, I expect that to be the case, always. Nami Lucian will always look to try and be aggressive. It's just about what they actually get, you know, in theory. Breathe. Maybe just looking for a bit of information. Yeah, Biubiu just kind of spaces him out a little bit. Not bad, not bad.
I mean, I'm not saying that's momentum for the last game, Jamada, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, you know, actually, I think not only... Okay.
The double jungle clears. I like this.
Right,
this is perfect for us. This is exactly what we want to see. We know how important bot lane is, but it's about how long until Wei and Heng get down to this bot lane and have some influence.
Give us some T-Tours in the chat. Look at this. Not bad. But yeah, jungle matchup can be very important. Of course, both these junglers passing down towards the bottom side. With that in mind, I'm actually quite interested about how the top lane matchup's going to go. I know Heresy in this match.
You're going back to the island, huh?
I think the island might actually have a fair amount to say. After last game, right, Biubiu had a lot to do with Shanks' like sort of ramp up into success in the side lane, right? So I think if he can kind of find that same... was it really an advantage 1v1? I guess it's kind of unfair when Breathe is on Sion and you're on Gnar, and you kind of just get to do that for free. But like in this game, Breathe obviously a lot more individual agency. So I feel like perhaps if Breathe can find his own openings to try and get on top of Biubiu, sorry, and you know, look for a solo kill, right? Or try and just shut the Gnar down so he's not as you know, this opposing side lane threat, then RNG have a lot more to work with in terms of team fighting. So I really do hope that for the sake of Team WE, they can get this Gnar, you know, kind of ahead. But as is always the case in this meta at the moment, the bot lane, of course, will be the focus. And Gala and Ming, no doubt, will be given a lot of resources on the side of RNG. We'll see whether or not this will come to bite them, as it, I don't want to say did in game number 1, because I feel like it was more the side lane issue, but the fact that Biubiu had so much freedom on the side lane kind of set up RNG for a little bit of failure once Shanks also was kind of given that same level of freedom too.
I am very interested now because we're getting the wrap back around towards top side from Heng. Last game, Heng took a very aggressive stance into Wei on that Wukong. Obviously a little bit different this time around, but very, very much looking at this differing focus, the dodging of the vision, except knowing that Scuttle Crab is down, and that Wei hasn't been able to find anything bot lane.
Definitely a bit of a juxtaposed start to last game, where, like you said, it was quite standoffish between the jugglers. They just didn't want anything to happen to bot lane. Nothing's happened anyway, so Heng will happily take his top side skull, reset, and likely just full clear again, all the way down to the bottom side of the map. Very, very exciting gameplay for himself, but once he hits double 6, he'll definitely try and find some more aggressive play. That was a very optimistic
one. Oh my god. Oh, a little bit back. They got the heal pop there as well as the barriers. We got all Summoner spells burned except for the flashes on 3.
That was a really, really, really optimistic re-dash back in.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure Wei would have seen Heng. Now it's about getting out. Actually, they might find their way onto
Nobody's
Angel.
level 6 yet. Ooh, nice flash from Angel. Wei is here, locked down onto Heng. He's not that tanky here, but these minions might be able to block some of Angel's damage. We'll see a little bit followed up though. Heng getting a little bit lower, but the burns are not there. And no kills just yet, although we're getting very close, Jamada.
Yeah, crucially though, both mid laners lose their flash, and I feel like it's a little bit more detrimental to RNG just simply because the setup is kind of easier, I guess, right? Shanks sort of shuffled in. The follow-up can always come in from Heng. However, you know, as long as Heng is kind of aiming well, they should... Angel, sorry, is always going to kind of struggle, and Shanks has his own escape, so I feel like the flash trade kind of weighs in the favor of WE. We'll see whether or not it actually gets punished. The response to the mid lane play, however, is this dragon, because they know that Heng moved back into the water. So top side, a little bit too low to contest, and with Shanks also going back to base, they kind of, or at the very least, kind of being trapped underneath the tower to clear the wave. They just recognize they have that brief window, and even though Gala will miss a wave underneath the bottom side of the map, it doesn't really matter because they picked up that early objective.
Exactly, and I think that objective stacking will be needed, I guess, maybe for WE trying to contest that, not let RNG free stack into this late game. That will be beneficial to them. We are getting level 6s now, though, so I'm looking from this mid lane where Angel gets proactive with the Realm Warps and how Shanks can use this Shurima Shuffle to really set up team fights in the earlier parts of the game before that 5-man stack gets so monstrous from RNG.
Yeah, exactly. RNG 5-man stack here. I mean, diving into Yuumi, Ryze, Zeri, it's going to be very, very difficult, and WE's team composition is kind of, in a way, I suppose, built for 5v5s, but just a very different kind of 5v5 from what RNG are potentially looking at. I think for WE, it is a lot more about trying to ensure Shanks has a bit more, you know, area control with the soldiers, and you kind of dissuade RNG from ever stepping forward. You have to be in the river first in front of these neutrals, for example. I think that's going to be very, very key, in this game to a team's success, and the flank of
Look at this.
Biubiu or Breathe as well is going to be very, very crucial to track after last game in particular, where Biubiu was able to lock down Gala, and that kind of spelled the start at the beginning of the end for RNG. Realm Warp, though, as we focus back on the game, could be good.
Idea. Oh, okay, not going to take the Realm Warp over. Heng is here, so dissuaded there. Would have been a little bit dicey if he did commit to that one.
Oh, level 6 is going to take hit.
Yeah, I was going to say level 6 for Heng just gotten. He did have a little bit of a move from Shanks. Looks like Wei on his way to try and defend this bot lane.
Yeah, I was wondering whether or not they would maybe try for a
They don't have vision on Wei coming here as well. Hope goes forward. Heng comes out, flash from Gala, and here goes Wei, triple knockup. Hope flashes, but gets pounded by the stick of Wei. Lwandy falls next. Wei with a double, and the Monkey King has come alive, and well for RNG. As will he get the third kill? Do they give it to Gala? It should go over to the ADC, and RNG 3-0 up with first blood on bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's Team WE that kick off this play. At the end of the day, Heng was looking for that play for about 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and Wei eventually just makes his way down here for his own proactive play. And as soon as he sees Heng here, he just sees it's free real estate, right? Hope steps up, takes a lot of damage, flash just about in time to get away from the stun. And the knockup is great, and the Warrior Trickster is well still in place to get the double knockup after Wei actually goes to collect Hope. That Q as well deals so much damage from moves at Lwandy. And pick up the kill, give it to Gala. And that kill spread as well, really, really nice. Wei earns himself 2. Gala still finds himself a kill credit in the play as we come out of the replay. However, Team WE are still able to, by the looks of it, find this Herald. So at the very least, they're not going to lose that objective off the back of a really, really nasty 3-0 play. RNG, however, still sitting very, very pretty. And again, layering more pressure into the bottom side.
No. Run away! Okay,
He's
gonna get away. They see that people are moving from mid lane. It's like, all right, he doesn't get caught in the side as he tried to go down towards bottom lane. But this does mean free shots for Gala on the turret, trying to get those plate monies for RNG. We actually see Shanks maybe moving down here as well with Heng on his way. So a bit of response potentially brewing for WE.
Maybe. For now, though, very muted on this bottom side of the map. And kind of a repeat, except, you know, minus the play where it feels like this Nami Lucian in lane, it doesn't really move Zeri and Yuumi out, right? And of course, you can kind of credit it to player skill in this particular sort of lane matchup. And we're very much aware that Nami and Lucian will bring a lot to the table in the mid game in terms of burst and a lot of utility that comes from that, and pressure, of course. But how will it really stand up to the sort of mid to late game team fighting press is the question we got to ask, as Gala skating in here. Shanks is going to dash away. All right, never mind. I got excited for nothing. Can't fault me, though.
A little bit of speed, a little bit of zoomies there as RNG taking out some vision in front of the pit here. Dragon spawning in about 10 seconds. Both teams actually positioning pretty heavily around this.
Yeah, there is a wave here to collect for Gala, however, so this could buy WE just about the space they need. Like we said, being in front of the objective first, kind of a big deal. I think, to me, WE, they're going to have a bit of a hard time dashing in to a lot of the composition of RNG, unless it's off the back of, you know, a really, really strong flank from Biubiu, as Herald's going to go down here in the mid lane. On top of the shove already here from Shanks too. Maybe they try and get this dragon started up, but I don't really feel like they have necessarily the time to do it, as RNG had shove in the bottom side. And
looking for Lwandy on this He's wall. On vision. He does get the tidal wave back, but that ultra shock laser does a lot. Angel coming on the side, Realm Prison, and that's huge damage on the wall. I thought he was going to make it out. Angel slams it though. That's 4 kills now for RNG. Might look for this dragon now.
Yeah, they definitely should. I think they still have a lot of power. Gala has Zone as well. And a lot of the very strong tools from WE, specifically the engage tools, kind of been used up in the disengage. But that's about it. It's going to be a 50-50 at best, where I feel like RNG, if they just play patiently, can force
no
WE out.
WE to do this.
Yep.
Okay, well, they're going to walk in a little bit later, as Shanks has TP'd bottom side, so in case RNG stood a little bit late. Breathe. Nice little move out of that Gnar, using that unstoppable. But it's just calm on the front with 2 dragons for RNG now completed.
Very, very cheeky, and it's one smog to the other. Chemtech, isn't it? I guess.
However, it is, yeah.
Very. It's baby cloud, you know.
It's baby cloud.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever heard anybody call Chemtech baby cloud.
Like,
I feel like it's like better cloud. It's like grown cloud.
Yeah, theoretically, I guess it is. And you know what? Healing and shielding power, quite obnoxious.
True.
When
especially
you have
for these comps.
Yeah, so it's actually not too bad, the individual dragons. And of course, I'm pretty sure it gives tenacity, doesn't it? I always forget that function of that dragon. I think it's tenacity and shield power. Heal and shield power, so not too bad. A dragon. And it's more about the rift anyway.
Yeah. I'm actually looking at way out on the map now with this Divine Sunder. Heng getting something in topside could be big though, as they're collapsing on the Breathe. Breathe uses the all out and all that movement speed to get out of there, but Sejuani Glacial Prison does get utilized in topside. What I was going to say is Way need to utilize this item spike differential here between jungle, and it's looking like he wants to go bot lane with it.
Yeah, you see, fortunately, Ksante as well on the top side. Bit too mobile. And like you say, now that Wei has this Divine Thunder immediately to the bottom side, just trying to make Lwandy kind of second guess themselves a bit.
These item completions are so crucial. Seeing like at least the Leandry's there to poke some down from Shanks in the side, but you're starting to get, you know, first items across, and we're still really waiting on Hope and Lwandy to get their big spike.
Yeah, exactly. Once Hope and Lwandy have Gale Force in the mandate, then W will have a little bit more agency to work with. And even though RNG are up 4 kills, it has to be said, they're only up by
It's happened 2 games now. Like, WE are just so good at getting resources around the map. Obviously, there's a big lead for Biubiu in the side lane. Having that Unleashed TP now available, a TP difference in top lane is going to set WE up, but it's been about how they picked resources around the map, not opting into these big 5v5s unless it's necessary.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think Team WE's pretty sharp understanding last game of what the conditions were in the game to RNG's theoretical success, and being able to shut that down really paid massive dividends, of course, with the game on victory. Expect to see them do it again. I think if they kind of recognize, all right, we can't dive in. My only concern is that with the 2 dragons already going over to RNG, they might get pulled into a couple of team fights where they're going to have to try and find themselves being a little bit aggressive, which will definitely play into RNG's hands. And speaking of plays going into RNG's hands, Biubiu is about to face check here.
As soon as he comes out of Gnar too. Not a welcome visitor in the top side are RNG, but they will find the little mini Gnar and take him out. Gala gets the kill. 2-0-2 now for this superstar carry of RNG.
Yeah, just unfortunate timing for the top laner of Team WE, but the play is still very good from RNG, and the immediate response here is tier 1 trade. So it'll be tier 1 for tier 1, but definitely feel the mid lane tier 1 very, very high priority. And actually, yeah, it's going to be a 2-for-1 tower trade. So Team WE are still getting the better end of this deal.
Okay, here we go though. They've overcommitted. That Glacial Prison is down, no bubble either. Realm Warp coming out, and RNG with the flank. They wait for Breathe and Angel. Tidal Wave comes across the big blast code, but they've left Shanks out to dry. He's dead on arrival.
Breathe all out. It's just too difficult the CC to deal with. I think he's just going to see Breathe as he goes back into base. And all right, sure, RNG, they get the collapse, but they still lose 2 towers to 1. The kill makes the gold trade a little bit better. But I feel like they're still being outmaneuvered on the map, which is definitely very concerning for a team like RNG. That's usually what you'd be saying about them in conjunction with the other team. They're the one outmaneuvering the enemy team.
And that's been the namesake of RNG for so long. But now with the singular change of Xiaohu leaving mid lane, it makes a world of difference for RNG.
It has been, and I think we still definitely have to pay a lot of credit over to Team WE and their really, really good map reads in general. Breathe here just does a great job. Presses the W key when that wave's coming through, just so he can secure Shanks. Collapse comes in, too much for Team WE to deal with, and now RNG, they're here in the river first. They are just forcing a couple of these members back. If they can get this next dragon, then Team WE might feel like they're on a bit of a pseudo timer. Depends on how they're going to actually interpret how strong this potential soul is, but you never really want to give it over. It's still going to make the game more difficult than it has to be to play out. As Gala, mid lane, just prodding away there at Hope.
Shanks has arrived. We got a full-blown 5v5. Who are you looking at, Jamada?
I'm looking specifically at this Gnar here. Mega's about to time over. So now that you've got it, you need to use it well. I feel like this timing, though, might be a little bit too early. RNG is still going to be able to rotate all the way around and back in, and this dragon hasn't been started up.
He's going for it.
Oh, he wants
Biubiu
away.
Can't get the Gnar. He's waiting for the try. Goes back in, takes too much damage, and Biubiu is gone. Glacial Prison has been utilized. The WE now need to be a lot more careful of how they approach this fight.
Yeah, 4v5, no teleport, 30-second death timer. They're still actually able to force RNG out.
It's the big combo, though, for Hope and Lwandy, and they're utilizing it to its full potential.
Yeah, but they're actually giving up river positioning at the moment. RNG are going to get teleport back in. And it's still 4v5, don't forget. The tools are still there, but realistically, I think W might have to give this one up. They're looking on Angel again, but they're just not able to find it. Phase rush, run away. Shanks now could get out.
Final chapter used there. Very close. On a nice edge are a lot of these fights. Biubiu is back up. TP coming up as well.
Yeah, it looks like Shanks is just going to go for a reset as well with his teleport. I'm not sure what he's going to actually
so we get a lot of fighting. We get a lot of setup. We don't get the dragon. It's okay. We walk away. We walk
everyone
away.
Just says, hey guys, it's just like both teams. They just threw up the white flag. Like, are we good? Everyone says, yeah, we're all right.
And then WE come in and take the white flag and throw it in the ground. They're like,
Alright,
I saw you. I tricked you.
Again, it feels like RNG. I don't know, man. They've kind of been outmaneuvered in this very. Now, this was a very weird sequence of play. However, they still lose the dragon, so it feels a bit hard to be positive about it for RNG.
They do get the Rift Herald at least, so a little bit of counterplay on the other side.
I guess they'll trade it, right? But at the end of the day, I think you always want to be the one trying to pressure WE into a position where they feel like they have to contest the next dragon. Because look at them, WE, they're panicking, right? They have the Mega Gnar here. Yuumi just sends it because he feels like he has to. Because they know as soon as that time's out, RNG are going to look to make their proactive play. And then the window will open up for them. So trying to find a play there, a very overforced play, just doesn't work out for them. They lose their member, and even 4v5, they're able to defend it and get the dragon in the end because RNG are a little bit too touch and go. Now, like you said, traded out the Herald. Looks like they'll get the mid lane tower out of it, which is going to feel a little bit better. But still, the pressure's not going to be felt now for WE for, you know, almost 10 minutes in game time. And that's going to feel all right in terms of trying to get to a point where maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable, you know, fighting and turning it into a game of execution. Still, I feel like RNG want to outscale, but scaling isn't always everything in this game anymore.
That's true.
It just turns out to be, you know, these small individual moments where picks matter a lot more. Execution, individual positioning is what will win you games. Scaling is just kind of a, you know, a baseline foundation to kind of lean on when it kind of might matter. And in this kind of game right now between these two drafts, it might not, because all it takes is one big Mega Gnar or Gala dropping, then all of a sudden, you know, 5v4, you can find a good team fight for WE. So RNG, I feel like, is a pretty big blunder on that track. But yeah, anyway,
I think the spacing that WE has in their team comp is really nice, and especially how to deal with RNG, right? Because Breathe, Way, Angel, they want to try to get a big engage for themselves, get in there, plant damage down. I think having the Emperor's Divide as well as the Mega Gnar are going to be really big in setting that up with that forward engage tool of the Tidal Wave as well as a peel tool, but the Glacial Prison there for WE. But now we're looking at RNG setting up in the sides. We have second item with that Runans and the Seraph's transformation for both the carries of RNG, Angel and Gala respectively. Will be a nice little source of damage for RNG in these team fights. This Way just hunting forever in these moments.
Yeah, and this is RNG's window now. Item spikes there for Angel and Gala. And WE.
It's just crazy to me that we're at 0-7 and it's only a 2K lead for RNG. It's just a testament to how good WE's been moving around the map.
Yep, WE's mecha has been really on point for the most part in this game. I feel like they've really recognized when to give what up, and they've just made very positive up trades on the map when it's mattered the most. Of course, that top tower for 2 towers on the bottom side and mid lane, one of the stronger trades they've made so far. But RNG still have the gold lead, right? They are still technically the ones in the driver's seat with the item advantage. It's been equalized out a little bit here and there, as I say that. Biubiu actually finishes up
been
his
cut
item
off from the rest of the team.
Way.
Oh, the culling doesn't do enough. Emperor's Divide, though, delivers Angel straight to death.
That could just be Baron. RNG, the rest of the team, they're here. Wait, how it got forced out quite low, and I don't actually think he's got Smite. By the looks of it, it's a short cooldown, so he's got one charge coming up.
Has Biubiu over the side. Way getting so low here. He's getting healed up. He needs to get that health bar back up. Biubiu almost having the Mega Gnar. Final chapter not really working. Mega Gnar into the pole. As now it's too much. The all-out from Breathe gets him back, and RNG, they fighting the sustained fight here as Gala flashing gets out of there. Way goes down, trading everywhere. Shanks will finally fall and Breathe with a double kill. RNG onto the Baron, and what a fight from Royal Never Give Up.
Royal Never Give Up, living up to the mantra of the name, even though the start of the fight doesn't particularly look good with Way getting chunked out. It doesn't matter, he's the only member that dies comically enough. But WE just don't have it in them to find Gala, even though Biubiu gets on top of him. It doesn't end up mattering. There's no follow-up damage. The return from Breathe and the return from Way is huge in dissuading any follow-up. And it's all about that Ksante and the all-out and the extended fight as well. No one from Team WE could take him down. And he was just taking names. He's teleported to the bottom side now to get himself a tower off the back of the Baron. But it starts off with this play, right? Way locked up, chunked out, forced out with a flash on the backside. But it's this engage here, losing Angel so early on. Even though he flashes over the wall, it feels so bad. Getting pushed back so far. But it's WE. They find the pick, right? And it turns into this 5v4 where all of a sudden, RNG, they're down their mid laner. Wei gets chunked out. But look at this from RNG, right? Even though you see Gala get knocked up and locked down, it feels quite bad. Hold on a second.
Biubiu just has nothing to say here in this fight. Knocked back, and Gala and Breathe and Ming will combine for a kill under tower in the side lane.
Yeah, all right, never mind. The three players, RNG, they're just keeping tempo high. They're getting the dragon, they're getting the tower, they're getting a pick. Could even look to continue to push this one out as well, but I think they need to just back up, wait for the rest of the team to show face here. Preev is really feeling himself at the moment on this Ksante as well.
For that first win on the Ksante, so at 4-0-4 now. Really spiteful performance, it feels like, as now RNG bearing down on the mid lane tower. It'll quickly fall, and a minute and a half on this Baron buff means RNG have siege for days.
Yes, they do. Got another 90 seconds as well, so it's not like Baron buff is falling off in the next wave. Got another 2, maybe 3 to work with if they're lucky enough. Though a couple of recalls are coming in, so this could more or less kind of be the end of the Baron siege. Get themselves 2 towers, not bad. I mean, look at the gold lead now. Because of the team fight, the Baron and those towers, it's felt like WE's macro generally has kind of kept them, you know, within reach of RNG. All of a sudden now it's a 6k gold lead, right? All of a sudden, Gala has his IE, he's up on Hope, and across the board you're seeing the Ionization lead start to take place here for RNG.
Yeah, they were taking trades of kills last game. This time, RNG have not really given over any of those kills and have been able to kind of sustain themselves up into this later part of the game where now they're on sole point. They have all the control they need. They have a gigantic goal lead as well for themselves. And I think they are definitely in the driver's seat. Still need to see that macro decision making come to a head as WE get a little bit of re-engage there. Peel back action with that Glacial Prism, but the second tier tower at the top side will fall.
Yeah, really nice from RNG just to be able to squeeze out the last seconds of Baron usage here.
They're trying, man. They're doing the side lane action again.
They are. Biubiu is setting up for it, isn't he? He's chipping away slowly but surely. All he needs is a hull breaker to complete it. Has his 2 items, so he's gonna get through the towers not too slowly. With it, even though he's 0-4-0, he's not had the level of impact perhaps he wanted in this game so far. Definitely shut down more than he'd like to be. I feel like just the Mega Gnar timings haven't been there for Team WE like they were in game number 1.
Yeah.
I feel like in particular, especially that 3rd dragon, I think it was, when it felt like they just kind of overforced the play, even though they ended up getting that dragon. Definitely put them in a bit of a pressure hole, I feel. RNG played around it really well. They've been playing around the Gnar this game a lot better than they did in game number 1 in general. And they're in the driver's seat at the moment.
True.
Hopefully they'll continue that and shut down the side lanes.
Yeah, 3 item spikes now for Breathe, Angel, and Gala. So a lot of power on the board for RNG, and 2 minutes for another dragon coming up means the WE are a bit on a timer. Definitely don't want to give over that Chem Dragon for free, especially the Soul. And it's about trying to find how they approach these next fights. We've seen them putting a little bit more emphasis in these side lanes, trying to get them chipped down as much as possible, try to get some of these bounty gold back. But they've got a 5v5 brewing that they have to go up and fight.
Yep, they do. 2 minutes time. And what will WE do? They've got the IE there on Hope, so they're matching that at the very least. But still, Angel, very strong, 3 items. If Shanks can get to his death cap, we did actually have the gold brought up by the observers, but I didn't quite catch how close Shanks is to that item. But 90 seconds left. You would like to hope that he can get to the decap. Can sell the Dark Seal as well for the gold if he absolutely needs it. So that would be a huge spike. All of a sudden, WE teamfight might not look too bad if they can find some decent conditions. A good flank from Biubiu. However, Wei's looking for that flank.
Heng spots him out there, so the flank will not come into effect. See Shanks being able to push out this bottom side. Must be very close.
Yeah, he's got it.
After this wave, you got to watch out for Angel, though, if he's pushing in the side. You see RNG moving their attention back to this mid and top side.
Yeah, mid and top side for now. I think RNG can really toy with WWE as they make their way back out onto the map now, because, you know, the pressure of the soul, always
There it
very
is.
potent. There's the death cap for Shanks. He's going to be huge now. A lot of AP there ready to boot. But they can kind of toy with Team WE because now they have to kind of decide, right? Soul or Baron, what's more important? RNG, they don't really care if WE pick up one dragon if they can secure a Baron. So that could always be a play on the cards. Here's the pulse engage here.
Hope is so far forward. Luckily, he has Flash and all the available teammates there. But that's culling down, that's heal down, that's tidal wave, that's all the tools. And Lwandy just has to help save his bottom laner.
Yeah, he absolutely has to. Hope just step too far forward. It's not the first time we've seen it happen in this series either. As now, Heng's trying to get in the action a little bit. Maybe he was looking for an angle. Of course, he's a lot tankier. Can be
Angel's just doing the dragon now.
Yeah.
This is where this precipice of power has afforded RNG this. I mean, they're literally holding off a 4v5 in the lane, and Angel solo killed the dragon.
Yeah, and now Soul is just going to feel more oppressive, right? Below that 50% HP mark, trying to execute targets. Of course, all the shielding, healing, tenacity as well from the CC. They do have Team WE now. Could this be a good
Heng
angle
is in a
here
very
for
different position than the rest of WE.
Yeah,
He's
but
not
he could
spotted
queue
out
over the
yet,
wall.
though.
The thing is, if RNG kind of approached this choke really awkwardly,
Okay, he's
queue of the
gonna
wall and an ult could have felt pretty nice. But like you say, he's just going to go for the recall. I think he should stick around because the problem is RNG are probably going to go to back. Oh boy.
Yep.
Okay, it's not going to get slide up. That could have been real awkward. But Heng's base timing was almost very inopportune for Team WE to contest that Baron. He'll make it back up into the map now,
They're
but
still gonna
RNG is
force
still
it.
very much going to go for it. Yeah, of course, they still want to force it. And,
Oh my
two
God,
blue
it just
walls
died
go
so
down
fast.
at the same time. It's dying.
Heng is going
It's
to try to make it around the corner. He's not going to make it, though. 2,000 health on the Baron now. It is down. They're fighting out Breed. He's got the gargoyles. He's got all the tankiness. And WE just got engaged on. The lightning has crashed, and Gala is ripping them apart. Shot by shot, gun by gun, RNG. They destroy the team fight against WE. They TP in bot lane, and they're looking to push us to 3.
It's just a complete slaughter for RNG. They find everyone they need to. Shanks even goes in, looks for a shuffle, but I think when you're kind of the damage carry, you need to stay back, look for the shuffle when it's opportune, not when it's kind of a thing that you feel like you have to be forced to do. And RNG is so happy to allow Gala to open up. And open up he does. We're going to game 3. RNG took that first game personally. It felt like they shut down Biubiu.
They shouldn't
make
have
sure he can't
lost it.
find the side. And completely go ham on Team W. They find 2 kills throughout the entire game. That's it. They can barely trade back on this version of RNG. And look at the looks on their faces of RNG. They don't even particularly look pleased about the fact they won. They look mad.
Yeah.
That they lost. I
mean, game one is
Perhaps
something
that
to be
they
mad
did.
about.
Yeah.
It's absolutely something to be mad about. And the fact that they came out like this in game 2, shored up all the weaknesses, it felt like, and handled a lot of the approach that W were trying to do for a second time in a row with this side lane pressure. Really, really good turnaround from RNG. And this is kind of the bright spots that we know and love from this team.
Yeah, it is, right? This version of RNG felt like a lot more of the version that we're used to getting from RNG. You know, Gala Ming popping off mid lane, doing his part, right? Angel, I think, time and time again. Wei found very, very creative flanks. I think they just need to find this form of themselves, right? I think the fact that they were able to also shut down the side lane facets, which they weren't able to do in game number 1. I feel like also Team WE had a lot more emphasis on that. I think with Shanks moving off the Ryze in this game towards the Azir, wasn't able to get his hands on the Ryze, also meant that as a whole, Team WE felt a lot more drawn into these team fights where they weren't so much drawn into them in game number 1. And I feel like they might want to try and move away from that because RNG kind of are still that threatening 5v5 team that, to me, at least from these 2 games, it feels like WE can't really step up to them. 1-to-1 in these 5v5s, you need to get creative. And I think you need to look for either flank angles or you need to look to just play side. And I think that's how you're going to be able